Howdy, everyone. Welcome to Two-Headed Wizard, a Once Upon a Galaxy podcast. I'm Tom, Jampot in-game and on Discord, and in each episode I'll be chatting with a member of the Galaxy community about how we feel about the game in the moment and in general. My guest today is GoodDigestion, who you may know because of his VODs on YouTube, where he's super charming and humble, and he plays at a very high level, talks through his plays very well, and I really can't recommend them highly enough if you haven't seen them already. So let's get to the show. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm great. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Yeah, just had my holidays. Been took a little break from Galaxy actually recently. Just like a day and a half. Like to be honest, like so deep in this game that feels like a while. Um,
Yeah,
but like I think I needed it. I was getting a little burnt out of the last patch, of this most recent patch, which I think I'd like to get into a little bit. But let's
oh
talk about
sure.
you a little bit first. Like yeah, how did you get into Galaxy and how did you start like recording your stuff and
Yeah, I got into Galaxy when I was still playing Magic at the time, and I saw just LSV post a video about it, and I mean, it was still during closed beta, so like I had to go onto the Play Galaxy website and send an email to Parney to get like a login. But yeah, I just saw LSV playing it and was really interested, and I mean, at the time, I think like my only phone game was Slay the Spire, and I was pretty burnt out on that. So it was just kind of like the perfect timing for a game that had replayability.
And had you played like any of the success or like sorry, predecessors to it? Like Storybook Brawl is the obvious one, but I think there are many other auto battlers.
Yeah, no, not really. I mean, I had played like maybe 45 minutes of Storybook Brawl. And when I played that game, I thought it was just like too overwhelming. Like, like I mean, I think it's probably true of this game too, where like the strategy is non intuitive. Like, you can kind of be
Yes.
like, oh, this works together, but like until you played a lot of reps, you have no idea actually like what the standard of what's good is. But Storybook Brawl to me was, oh, I mean, it's got 7 slots, right? So, and a lot more cards at the time, so
That's so
I just found it
interesting.
too confusing.
I
Yeah.
think because I'd played like Hearthstone Battlegrounds and Storybook Brawls, brawls. But for me, I think part of the like thing that is a really exciting challenge about this game is that 5 slots is so few slots. You have to be so tight with your build, you know? You don't really have
Yeah.
room to mess around with like too many units that are just like providing value. They all kind of have to fight, or they don't always, but that's often you're in trouble if too many of them can't fight.
Yeah, I mean it's few, but there are still interesting choices, and
Oh,
uh,
absolutely.
but also you can like kind of autopilot as well, which I like that balance because sometimes you're just not paying attention, and you're just like, all right, yeah, obviously Stinky in slot 3, secondary Hunter in slot 4, Hunter in slot 1, random character in slot 2.
How
You just
much
don't have to think about it.
So about like autopiloting, like how much do you play differently when you're recording versus when you're just kind of like on your phone, or do you just like not really play that much when you're not recording these days?
Oh, I mean, there's a huge variety. Like, so I definitely play better when I'm recording because like I'm thinking through. I'm not uh autopiloting as much when I'm recording. Like I have to justify my actions. That being said, I've still found myself even playing goatee and not looking at the lobby at the during round one. So maybe I'm getting a little bit too used to recording and getting sloppier. Uh, but then there's like the other end too, where like you're drinking and playing, and just like, oh well, none of the choices I made any sense. Um, and I don't know, like well, as long as you don't get too into your head, I think like all of those ways of playing are appropriate, in the right time.
Yeah, I think part of the thing with this game is like it's really fun just to like smash the cards together. So like
Yeah,
it's really easy to kind of get into a flow state, and then 2, 3 turns later, you're like, what happened here? Like, why can I not win any fights anymore?
yeah. I guess the dark end of that is too when you kind of like spiral and you're just like trying to like force something because you're losing and losing and you're just so like tilted
Yeah.
that you're trying to like force like the high greed play and it just isn't following your way and then you just get more and more angry.
Yeah, I really struggle with that. I don't think I get particularly angry with the game, but I feel like so dumb, and I don't like
Yeah,
that feeling. Um, so
yeah.
yeah, do you feel like you have like a play style in the game, or do you just like Do you think that you just try and play what's strong? How do you feel like about like how you play?
Yeah, play style. I guess like what I would say as my play style has definitely evolved. Like, I mean, same as anybody who's got like a decent amount of experience in the game, you know. Like, I definitely followed the classic like noob route of game growth, like starting with animals and then fairies and then well, there I guess there's a period. I don't know how long have you played the
So
game?
I started playing the game just before the Romeo patch, which I think is most relevant for being right. I played just for a couple weeks before they changed the MMR or the not MMR, like the lobby building system to kind
Mm.
of I don't nobody knows exactly how they did this except the devs, but to reduce the like super high roll like boards, I
Oh,
guess.
right. Yeah, the
Um
matchmaking change, yeah.
yeah, they did some
Okay.
kind of behind the scenes work, which um so I think I don't exactly know how that played out because that occurred during the time when I was like learning the game. So I don't really have a good sense of like how that affected like I was already kind of like my MMR was rising, and then I think that that definitely made everyone's MMR rise quite a bit as well. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't really have a good sense of like how that affected things. But anyway, that's my background. It's been
Oh, I mean, I
not very
think
long
that
now.
that change, like, it kind of broke MMR, right? Because, like, you just can't keep up without playing a ton of games right now. Like, there's no natural peak. So,
Oh,
um,
I think yeah, I think someone had mentioned something similar, and I didn't think I quite understood what they were saying, but that makes a lot more sense. The idea that like yeah, if it's inorganic, then it does
yeah.
reward just like putting in a ton of time and doing okay, much like a little bit more than you should.
I mean, you can't just only put in time right now. Like, before,
No, yeah.
like, say what it would be like, at the end of the month, you could get to about 3,500. And so you'd play through Legendary, you'd maybe come out at like 3,300. And then as more people caught up to you, you could, it would start to inflate, but incredibly slowly. Like one game every week would be enough to keep up, kind of thing. Maybe not, maybe a little bit more than one game a week, but now you have to like, I mean, like every couple days it's like up 100 points, right? So
Yeah, it really
you
does
really
seem
have
to
to
be
keep
that way.
going. Yeah.
Huh, yeah,
Like,
do you
oh,
have
sorry, go
feelings
ahead.
about that? Like do you I guess I'm like I like paying attention to my MMR, but it doesn't bother me if it's like a particularly just system, but I can see why it would matter more to people who like are more competitive.
I think it did at first, because yeah, like I really just wanted to stay. Like generally, I floated around like between 3 and 5, and like it's just been impossible to like maintain that. Just between my personal life and stuff, I just can't play that much.
Yeah, and
And
nor I don't think one should have to.
right, well, also I don't think I actually deserve that rank anymore. There's so many good players right now.
Yeah, it's
Um,
definitely true. Yeah. It's the game's grown big enough that like I certain yeah, I think any that's why I mentioned, like I have peaked at 3, but that I think is like a not realistic estimation.
Yeah, but I think as I've gotten like a little bit further away from that, and then the fact that I have that like mental out to just be, to say to myself, it's like, oh, it's not my fault. I'm not actually that much worse than all these people. It's just I don't play enough games. Then it kind of like lets me, step away and just kind of relax and have more fun with it. So
Also,
it's
yeah,
actually kind of worked for me to like reduce the competitive feeling I have with the game. So
I do think that there's enough variance in this game that sometimes you'd have to like chill about it. That like it's you I don't know, it's easy to like beat myself up sometimes about like, oh no, I was sloppy over and over and like it doesn't like but the game's like more fun and I do better when I just like try and like have some joy and excitement with it and like look at the cards and see like, oh, this makes sense with this and not be like this was supposed to work. Like
right, yeah, no, I can definitely see that.
um
Because like I really like the like I mean you haven't made videos for a bit, but I like watching your gameplay because you play so many cards that are like atypical, and I don't know, it's like been a learning experience. I actually I tried to put Rudolph into the first deck I ever had the other day, and then I found it didn't have it in that captain, but
Also,
uh,
I think that Rudolph is I point it out because it's really powerful in a very specific scenario and it's I think pretty dismal in every other scenario, so I think it requires justification a little bit more. But like,
Yeah.
God, it really is the real deal in Serena. I think I can't overemphasize it. It's such a difference hitting like not having those like turn after turn where you're like, where's my targeted spell that's good? You know, like you can always find something good enough, and you're so much more likely to find that double double.
Yeah. No, I think it was that, and I think maybe M Gallop was trying to get me to put it into Mira, and I think
Oh, I yeah,
I
Mira,
that's the one I want to put it into, but I
yeah.
don't have it unlocked yet.
Um, but yeah, I think that like a lot of the like good times that I've had personally with the game have been like about like iterating and trying to like just like play and analyze my experiences and try not to like emulate other people too much. And I think that got me like very far, but then I you know, like other people are also very they're, like not just also very smart, smarter than me often, and it's good to learn from them every once in a while too.
Yeah.
Um, so, unfortunate, and that actually kind of brings me into something that I want to talk about, which is universal deck lists. You mentioned the
Mm-hmm.
universal deck list era a while ago. I
Right.
have some like opinions about that, but I'd first like to just ask you about like how do you feel about deck building in general, both like what's good and what you like, and then do you think the universal deck list is good for the game, bad for the game, neutral?
Well, first of all, I don't think there is a universal deck list anymore. Like when I guess I don't know if you know like aware of the history of it, but like basically LT Beach was he kind of like discovered this like pirates theme, kind of like this like basically this idea that you could that monkeys was the best card in the game and just anything that would like turn on monkeys could work. And that was true. Like so like I saw him playing on Yuck's stream and I like made him like write up a primer for me, and it took me like a month to figure out how to play it. And at the time, it like all of a sudden it was clearly like with Blackbeard being the way it was, where it would count silvers and not golds, it was incredibly powerful.
Sorry, is that Weird Beard or?
Oh, did I say Blackbeard?
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
know the
Weird
era,
Beard.
so I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, so Weirdbeard would count silvers. Um, and so you could, playing like that with Sailor Moonshine, you could easily get it to like 8 points, and then there just was a lot lower top end. So Pirate Prince powering out monkeys with just like trash treasures was by far the best end game you could do. But then they nerfed everything to oblivion. Like Buried Treasure got nerfed. Of course, Blackbeard got nerfed, and then they just power crept a lot of the other stuff out. So like when we talk about the universal deck list, like that's in that thread on Discord, I don't think it's even close to relevant anymore.
I guess when
I
I
mean,
say the universal deck list, then I think I'm
mm-hmm,
referring to kind of the like the volume of treasures core that I think is like a pretty the safe choice to make with like almost any captain. Whether or not it's the best choice for that captain is another discussion, but I think it's like a pretty safe choice for everyone, and that's your end game is Burninator, Wormscale, Pisces. Whether or not you run Flopsy is, I think, it depends on the era.
yeah, I'm
Um,
not a flopper.
I was big on Flopsy for a while. I think it is lining up very poorly right now because you can't the stats are like everyone tends to have big stats, so just like it's very hard to stabilize just by like buying Flopsy, a big Flopsy, and buying like the next two big enough things. It doesn't do anything anymore. But I
Yeah,
thought it was real like when I was climbing, but who knows? Anything's real at a certain place.
yeah, no, definitely cards like that are very like you can become biased if you like have like your first 3 games with it are great and you're like, wow, this card is nuts. I mean, I played Flopsy for a very long time. Like when uh when they nerfed like way back in the day, Excalibur and KO Star were the meta because they were like doubling cubes. They didn't give you that bonus they give now. It was like double all your villains,
Mm.
and so it made dragons impossible to play because dragons weren't aligned. And then they nerfed that, and then Flopsy called Tricks at the time like was just a nothing because it wasn't a villain or a hero, and that that was like my first like big breakthrough in terms of like moving high up onto the ladder because I was playing tricks everywhere, and it was so good because there was still like not much end game, not many end game cards. Wormscale Tinker was not a Fey at this point, so yeah, I liked it then. But yeah, basically without Mephisto, which another card that definitely is underrepresented. But
How do you feel about Mephisto right now? So you think that it can work? Because I've been unimpressed by it when I play it. I think it's very awkward with matchmaking, where I think I've had a couple too many times when like it just sits there and then doesn't like scale on like a fight where I'm doing well, and then the next fight when I need it to have been strong, it's like a turn too late.
um, yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure that it's ever a turn too late. I think the bigger issue is it's like too early, actually. Uh, because I mean, obviously, it's terrible if you don't have shot buffs or something that's like universally powering out or you like increasing characters in your shop.
Yes.
Maybe like a KO star or just like a ton of constellation prizes, even maybe.
Yeah, that was my first thought actually. That's often like how that kind of deck can just amass
But yeah,
some
with
stats.
yeah, no, like I mean, there's a lot of ways to do it, but like especially with Peachy Queen now, I've been playing a lot of Wink recently, so that's a lot of slot buffs and or shot buffs, and I definitely like Mephisto right now. I mean, it's not worked its way into a lot of decks. I have it in Midas, I think, right now, just because Golden is absolutely cracked. But yeah, I don't know. It probably deserves some spots, especially
Yeah,
as
I
we
don't know.
move
Maybe I
away
should try it
from.
out a little bit more. I also think that the pace of the game has changed since I stopped playing it. Um,
Mhm.
so that matters. So I think like how have you been feeling about the Peachy Queen meta? How do you I want to go back to Universal Decklist in a second, but I just want to
Yeah.
get your basic vibe on it.
Well, I think like these like two topics are really connected because
Yes.
I mean my idea of universal deck, well, what you're describing as like this kind of like treasures thing is now I think one of like three game plans, and even among like the treasure plan, which is the universal deck list part of it, I think is there's only like maybe four cards that are kind of like super obvious, right? Like Maverick and Pisces, Tinkerer, Burninator. Like everything else can kind of like there's a lot of ways to go. A lot of cards are very playable right now.
Yeah, I think
Um,
that's very true.
and I don't know. I've been playing. I mean, I think it's just because the way the captain system is set up right now. But like I've been playing a lot of Faker. Like it's offered to me like almost every other game, and that I play almost no top end in Faker, and I think like it's one of my highest win rate decks. I just don't think there's like a heavy top end strategy like Treasure. I don't think is great right now. Like taking a Quester on turn one seems scarier than ever. Like I want to be taking Rose or Thorn or I mean obviously Peachy Queen, but I really really don't want to take a Stepmother, which is weird because like that's been my you know the number one card I want to find in pack one for a long time, and now I just think it's too risky because I don't care about +2/+0, and Peachy Queen turns like all your cards into like +2/+1s.
Yeah, I feel a little bit unhappy with I don't with the Peachy Queen meta right now, and I don't think it's because I mind like pushing so much power to like the early game, because I think that there's some exciting elements of that, even though I liked the old early game fine, but I don't mind if it's a little bit more scaling focused. But I don't like how homogenous the games become, because if I see Peachy Queen 1/1, I'm going to take it. Like it's just going to happen. And then that's going
Right.
to lead towards a very similar thread of like subsequent purchases. Um, and that I think has been bothering me. And I do think that my deck lists have become a lot more homogenous since then as well, because like with that in mind, I'm obviously going to put in more things that enable that to work. And that's something I've been a little bit unhappy with as well, is the fact that like I do like building these like deck lists that kind of work, and a lot of the time it's subtle things that kind of um make it click, even though like they're not clearly on theme. They may not say the right like if I'm playing like a spells oriented strategy, I might like Dastardly Spirit used to be like a pretty core part of that. Still is actually. Um because your mages need some stats, like, and I think little things like that, like you start to like lose space for those support units when you're trying to support Peachy Queen because that's just a much more consistent thing to be doing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Dastardly Spirit seems pretty bad when you could do Friendly Spirit instead now.
yeah, right, exactly. And like I think a lot of
Yeah.
these, and it's a cascading effect from there that once you don't have that, suddenly these other things that were already kind of marginal aren't really functioning. And like that's kind of my beef with it more than anything is
Yeah.
that like I feel like my games don't look identical because treasures vary a lot and lobbies vary a lot, but my picks look very similar, and that
Hmm.
I'm not in love with.
Yeah. No, I definitely think. I mean, there's going to be some kind of change. Like, uh, Yugmouth has made it pretty clear that it's a really big topic, and I agree that we're not in the best situation, but it's also like there have been times in the game's history where it's been broken and fun and broken and not fun, and
hmm
like I'm fine with this being the way the game is for a month or whatever. Like it's okay.
Yeah, actually, that's
you
been
know.
something I'm really glad that I started like doing these interviews right before this, because this is the first time when I think that like the meta has kind of like rubbed me the wrong way, and I it's really nice to hear the perspective that like this isn't their first time that like they've tried something that like didn't work the way that they wanted it to, and that they've seemed to have like managed to course correct multiple times in a way that like works.
Oh, okay. So I guess then you didn't play like pre-Candylar, huh?
I play no, yeah, Candylar was my introduction basically to the
Okay,
game.
yeah. Because
Um,
there was like that period right before Candylar where they released the core set changes and then
mhm.
didn't release the Candylar cards, and that broke the game really bad for me. Like that was like a not fun time in my experience. Like this is much better. I mean, it's an adjustment, but I think the game is still playable.
Yeah, and
Pre Candylar release was not fun.
I think the main thing that I want to like try and figure out whenever these things happen is like not to just like break down exactly like why this card is broken and how it needs to be fixed, but to kind of like get the
Hmm.
like sense of like, okay, like what's not fun about it and what is like actually fine about it, even though it's like a change that I may not have like asked for.
Right.
Um,
Well, and so you think the not fun part is that it's homogenizing all the games.
that's kind of my perspective on it, but I would like, like
Hmm.
it sounds to me like you're playing a lot of Candy, which is something that I've been actually struggling to find like success with recently. It just doesn't seem to like keep up. Um,
I mean, I think Candy only works on Faker and Tajima, and I guess Sweet Tooth as well. Nobody else. Like other candy captains especially that don't sweeten themselves are terrible in my opinion.
Yeah, I
Like
guess the only
unplayable.
one that I've been finding success with is Sweet Tooth, and I think that's because I have like enough of a collection, and a
How
Candy
do you
needs a
play your
bigger
Sweet
collection.
Tooth? Do you
Badly.
play like early candy?
No, so sorry, what was your actual question? Of
Like how do you play Sweet Tooth? Do you
I
play
try
like
not to
early candy
cast candy
stuff?
spells that aren't like either incredibly like relevant on board or free, basically. And
Hmm.
I think that's why it works, because spending your shops to cast candy spells, I think just doesn't pay off well enough. They don't. It's by the nature, right? Like they have to scale. But I do think they're kind of off curve, and I think spells in general are kind of off curve right now, in a way that like I I'm curious to see how they adapt to it. It seems that the direction that they're taking is to try and make like captains and characters that amplify spells more and more. And I think that is fun in some ways because that's going to like those captains and characters are going to get to do really cool things. Um,
Hmm.
but I kind of like being able to like cast a spell in a dead shop, and I I think that that's not a bad thing for the game to like have that be relevant. And right now I think there's almost no combat. Is there any like buffing spell that you can think of that you would play without spell buffs?
Well, if you're talking candy spells, yes, but a
Just a
non-candy
regular
spell
spell, yeah.
like giant growth, I guess giant growth on goodie bag is like the
Yeah.
one the
And
one
that
thing
yeah,
I would do,
that one
yeah.
actually yeah, and that one is like it doesn't feel good to do, but I guess you can
Yeah.
yeah. But it does
I
matter.
mean, on turn 6 maybe, it's okay.
I know, honestly, that's what I liked. Like it doesn't take very much, I think. Like if you just grab a tiny bit for where you are, like on your tiers, I really like being able to do that, for that to be an option to like cast even like a Blessing of Athena or something, like if you've got like a +4/+4 on it, can matter a lot. If you've, obviously you want to be casting it on your Goodie Bag or Boon Willow slot, but it matters
Right.
then.
Though I do like, I mean, so you say like spells that you want to cast without like buffing your spells, right? But like, um, I think we're kind of like at an interesting point where there's a lot of captains who are pretty good at buffing their spells, and like not in like a gimmicky way. And I don't know. I think that's made I mean, spells. I think for the first, I mean, even when Candylar came out, like spells were still kind of not good. But between like Mira and Sorceress Serena and Double Dealer, like we actually have like relevant spells. I think it's pretty fun.
I love it. It's so much fun for me. I think what I wish is that like I guess the reason why I mention it is I have a question for you, and that's like, what do you do with a shop where like you're looking at it and you're like, none of this matters, from like none of this makes my fights any better, and
Hmm.
I'm not interested in any of these like lines that these are going down, especially, and this happens so much more like after like turn 5 or so, when you're like, you have a board and you kind of have some sense of direction. Um, like your choices are by like usually like upgrade something very insignificant on your board, or get some like tiny insignificant benefit from a recruit and a silver, or like cast a spell that doesn't matter. What do you do with those shops?
I think like Peachy Queen has kind of made this like a little bit more relevant than ever because before I would easily just say like, yeah, obviously you just bank something and whatever go on, like that's what the game is. But now like tempo is so tight that like I might consider playing like a +4/+0 on on a character that I might want to keep. I mean, I'm not gonna be happy about it, but uh, like that's definitely could be the difference between a full heart damage,
Mm.
versus a half. So it's definitely like a more difficult question than it used to be
This
before.
is
Yeah,
like
it's just
fascinating to me because like I used to play very much in that line, and like I think a lot of my like when I was recording more before, I just got really sick, so I stopped recording for a while, but I have some ones that I'm gonna upload soon. Um,
hmm.
but I think that like I often had like treasure light spell heavy strategies, and I was
Oh, okay.
after Peachy Queen came out, I kind of felt like, oh, I can't really do this anymore, and that's because like I couldn't keep up with the basic Peachy Queen tempo anymore, and I was just like,
Hmm.
um, or it's not that I couldn't keep up, but it didn't. It was such a like dubious way to get that kind of tempo when Peachy Queen was right there instead, and like it wasn't making me win fights anymore to be doing that kind of thing. It was just praying that I could keep parity
Yeah, that's
now.
interesting to me because I would have said like the opposite. Well, I am
Well,
saying the
yeah,
opposite,
and
which is
Applechip
like
said, and both of you
before
guys are
you just bank
definitely better
stuff,
than me.
playing spells was always dumb, and
Oh wow.
but
Okay.
now you just kind of like have to keep
No,
up.
I think that makes a lot of sense, because I think that like the way that I started, the reason why I started playing like a lot more tempo oriented, and I think I started playing a lot better, was because I hit my first like wall when I like stopped being like a like wins leaderboard person, and like that, because like when I first started playing the game, I was like, oh, this is so much fun. I just like slammed, and then
Oh, you were on
later,
the wins leaderboard? Wow.
um, I'm not sure that I'm proud of it, but I had a lot of fun, um, and
Yeah, that's
because that
pretty
was
good.
just like playing so much, and then when I stopped like caring about that and like started playing, like way fewer games, but like wanted to get good, um, yeah, I learned how to like tempo out a little bit, and I think I kind of like have forgotten how to do that, and it's interesting to like recontextualize it and not be like, oh, it's just that like, because I think I hear myself making a lot of the complaints that I used to kind of make think were not valid. What I heard from like uh, more inexperienced players, and I think it's good to kind of think like, oh, maybe I'm just like forgetting my fundamentals, and that the game is like still functional. Not that I thought that the game wasn't, but I was getting frustrated with like the thing, and I think
Yeah.
I'd kind of not. I wasn't looking at the game and being like, what can I do with this?
Yeah, no, definitely like really small changes like changed the game drastically.
It's
And
wild.
yeah, like when PG Queen came out, I'd like dropped 250 points like in one
Same, yeah.
night.
over, oh, yeah, it
Yeah.
was so fast. And then like I climbed up and I got like way higher than I had been before, but like, oh, that first hit was painful.
Yeah. But now I think like I'm actually performing higher than I was pre Peachy Queen. Like maybe she more fits my style. I don't know, but
I think also like players who have a lot of experience and who kind of like to like think about the game are going to like adapt a little bit faster um, to something that's really swingy, and I think that like
hmm
definitely makes a difference. So like, have you had a favorite meta or like a meta that really like clicked with you?
uh yeah, honestly, like I mean I gotta just say like Pirates meta was the one because yeah, like I don't know. I mean I was ahead of the game on that and I was performing so well with it. That made me really happy.
I know winning
Um
does feel really fun in this game. Like even when I'm like a little bit burnt out on it, like winning always feels good, which is cool. That's not true of every game.
yeah, I really like the Toady meta for a while. Uh, so there was a point like a little bit before Candelar where Toady read double your the power of your next legendary. So if you like did that with in combination with like Drafty Window and you golded it, it could be like times 32
One of my
power.
favorite things is to do is like to just cast a times four over the rainbow or something like that. You know, like it's not easy to set up, but it
Right.
happens. And yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds like so much bigger.
Yeah, no, like you just get games where you'd go into turn 9 and your opponent would have like a thousand Nessie, and you're just like, okay, great. And
Oh,
that was like 15 days maybe, but
there's a new captain out that is like something Waddles or something, the penguin mage guy. And I think when it was first leaked, people seemed unimpressed by it, but I'm actually very excited for it because anything with the word double on it is so has real potential, I feel. Like not everything works, but like I think it's exciting.
is this the one that doubles like spells on mages?
Yeah, and I think people are a little like it's the opposite. It's not quite the opposite of Mira because Mira can, you know, buff using Nightshade the spells themselves, but like
Right.
it. I think what people are have figured out that Mira is very powerful, and they're looking at this and being like, well, this doesn't do any of the things that Mira does, and like actually casting the spells isn't that like relevant. It's just the procs that you get. And I think the exciting thing about this is hopefully that it will kind of be the opposite, right? That you don't necessarily like need to have things that are um, I don't know. I think it, like letting your enablers kind of play double duty and get huge
hmm
could be really fun.
Have you played this captain much yet? I
I
like I
have
didn't
not
even
had a
unlock
chance.
it.
No, I
Oh.
haven't had a chance yet. Unfortunately, like, uh, I don't know. I might cut this out, but right now where I am, like, so I'm living in Canada and I moved here for school and I got married because like I met somebody and then like right now I'm applying for PR but I can't work, so like I my budget's like super tight. Um, So I'm not letting myself like throw money around for gems and such, even though
I
like I
see.
really want to. But it's just not like the responsible decision for like a little bit. In like you know, because the application takes a long time, and
Uh-huh.
I don't have a work permit yet, and like I really can't. Yeah. So that's unfortunately why like there's a lot of like things that I wish I could try out more, and that I just can't right now. All right. So yeah, I just took a little break, and then GD was asking me about like live lobbies, and I think that's a good thing for us to talk about for a little bit. So yeah, like I haven't had much experience. I played like one game ages ago on a live lobby, and I'm very excited to be able to like just queue up for one someday. But right now, I haven't had like a lot of a chance to. Are you? Do you get to play them very often?
So I played on Yuckmouth's stream a lot.
Hmm.
Um, and for like I mean that there's really good competition there, but there's also like a mix of less competitive players and also Yuckmouth for a lot of the time he like tries to demonstrate, a lot of different cards and like play styles and stuff. So, uh unless he's like been on a losing streak, he's not playing his best deck lists. And so, we have like in my experience, we have really good games on that channel. But yes, or like 2 days ago for like the New Year's Eve stream, or not New Year's Eve stream, like the New Year's Eve Discord, there was a bunch of people playing, and it was like XQ and Xeno Gemini, like you know top five players, and it was a really interesting um, look at the game because everyone was kind of doing the same thing, which was just like Princess or Peachy Queen Butcher, and so like all these games just really quickly devolved into the same thing, like who got Butcher, who finished it first, who was able to like have a good turn 7, turn 8. And it was, I mean, like absolutely insane power level for like all of these games. Like, if you, I mean, you definitely felt good about getting top 3 and like surviving. But at the same time, it was just like, oh man, like, yeah, these like tempo spikes are so insane that like if my regular lobbies were like this, I would not be happy about it.
Yeah, that's kind of how
Yeah.
I feel right now. Actually, I'm gonna go on a little bit of a monologue if that's okay about like
Yeah.
something that I found uh like an approach to the game that I have found brought me a lot of success, and that was like I think for a while I was kind of like learning what was good in the game, like what powerful things you could do. And then like I was kind of treating it like a race to the finish kind of situation. But then like
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a couple problems with that like mindset. And the first is like there's not really a finish in this game, right? Like you can just keep going and going and going in theory, but like the problem is like either you are so big that you defeat your opponent and that doesn't matter, or like your opponent's not scaling as much as you, but they're so much bigger and you can't actually like outscale them. And I think that's like a very like end game distillation of the fundamental like concept of like the struggle of tempo, right? Like, and
Mm-hmm.
I think afterwards I started thinking about it as this like series of like you're like going throughout your day and then these like weird like overlords just like drop you into a room where you have like 2 seconds to grab two things close to you and then you have to like fight somebody to the death with the things that you've grabbed. And
Yeah.
like I think that that's like it's like a stupid way to say it, but it's kind of accurate to like what the game actually is, right? Like you have two shops to like scramble for something to like help you fight again and again and again, and then the last person alive wins. And of course, like you can't just like um always grab the thing that's like good now. Sometimes you have to like grab some like an ammo with no gun or a gun with no ammo or something, right? Like later on, um, if you actually want to keep up. But I think that like the problem then is you can tempo too hard and like not take enough scaling, and I like treat it like you're actually gonna die in real life. But I
Right.
think that like I found that like I was surprised how much I kept on like winning and winning and winning, even though I wasn't like thinking like I was like, oh, I'll never beat these endgame boards because like I've been taking so many shops that don't scale me. And of course like we're all a little bit greedy. You're gonna take some scaling. Um, and there were two things that were super surprising to me. And the first was that like I actually didn't have to like beat all of these like endgame boards because they just couldn't survive if they were just taking an extra heart and a half of damage throughout the game.
Right.
And then the second thing was that I actually was not like my my power level late game was actually like higher than it was on like the same average turns when I thought that I was like trying to scale as much as possible. And that's because snowballing is like a very real thing. And if you take all these
Mm-hmm.
scaling options but you can't actually get them to pay off, like it's much better to like get some things to work and then to go off from there. Although there are of course games when you just like get your Rolo going immediately and just like amass everything and then it just somehow broken stuff comes together. I think it's a lot more consistent to um try and be smart and like about which or not smart. That's not a very like useful word in this case. I think like decisive about what things you're going for and what you actually like can expect to get out of them. And then I think the final thing is making sure you actually get it out of them. I've noticed you're very good at that on your videos. Like you have a really good sense of like how much you can greed for, and like I think you almost I'm a lot of the time I'm like, oh, surely that's not going to work, and like usually you manage to like even if it takes an extra turn or two, you get what you need out of it. Um, and I think I often will scrap it. Like and you don't take it if you can't get away with that. And I think I make either the wrong choice of scrapping it too early or taking it when I shouldn't have. Um, anyway, that's my rant.
Yeah, no, that's just like I mean, I think you kind of figured out once you just play a lot of the game, right?
Yeah,
But that being said, like, you know, Peachy Queen has completely like undone all of that knowledge. Like,
yeah, that's kind of my feeling.
you know, like there was I play a lot of Miseria, and I think I'm pretty close to giving up Miseria actually, because like you know you'd get Miseria and you're like, okay, now I'm gonna take this Miseria and then rearrange to lose this fight. Now if you take a Miseria, it's like, oh, that's a full hard damage right away, so you don't have to do anything. Like it's just you just can't take a 2/2 on turn 3. And
Well,
I mean I haven't
how
really
often
fully
do
learned that yet.
I guess one thing that I'm kind of frustrated with as well is that like I feel like you don't Miseria isn't always a 2/2 on turn 3 in this meta because I think I take Miseria most often when I'm like already like doing well and I don't love that, but like
Yeah.
when I take it when it's like a 6/4 because I've gotten PG Queen Thorn and I'm like, well, I'm just gonna at some point lose a fight. Like, and I don't like that approach to taking that, and I think it very well might not be worth a slot, but I do think it's the main point is that like the numbers on a lot of these cards don't matter anymore, and
Mm-hmm.
if you aren't doing the PG Queen stuff or finding some other way to scale your shop significantly, it's really, really easy to get in the hole right now where you just like have nothing to do.
Yeah. No, it's interesting the way you say that because like you take it when you're ahead, but like I think we're so aggressive right now that like it is a win more card because like
Yeah,
simply taking it is like how you can turn like a really powerful Peachy Queen board into one that's gonna like slightly lose, and then you just have the Constellation Prize and you know replace it the next turn and you're back to being super powerful, and yeah, it's not really doing that much proactive stuff other than you know just kind of like adding a little bit of padding to already a strong position.
I think the main reason that I like it in those contexts is um, Crystal, to be honest, is that like if I'm playing Crystal, I often like feel that you have to play Miseria. And that's not true. Like there's a lot of positions in treasure decks where you play Crystal, but if you're playing like a standard like kind of magey thing, like sometimes you just need some way to generate treasures. And it's like I've found it to be an okay way to do it, but I don't it's clunky.
Yeah. Like, can you like actually talk a little bit more about like that relationship? Because so I don't play a lot of Crystal. Like my, I mean, I play Crystal, I guess, in Mira, and I play it in Dorothy, where I never actually take the ball. um, but yeah,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I mean, I'm somebody who's not particularly good with mages,
So
except
I
for you
think one
know,
thing that
yeah.
like is actually like really important, and I mentioned this in another conversation, is that like in the same way that Treasures has a lot of dragons, but it isn't really dragons, I think that like Mages isn't really mages in my opinion. It's like there's so many different diverse flavors of it, and they have to play extremely differently. And I don't have a lot of familiarity with some aspects of them. Um, like I just have not played a lot of Mira. I unlocked her very late. Um, but I have so many reps with Serena, and I actually think she's like one of my highest win rate captains right now, even in the Peachy Queen meta. But like just consistently, I've like found a lot of success with that captain, and part of that like is that I've just refined my deck list to a point that like I'm really comfortable with it. And Crystal's so powerful when it works in that strategy, but a lot of the time I was finding that it was like turn 7 or 8, and I was just like taking a 9/7 that had no real hope of like ever proccing. And I like found that Miseria was enough often to kind of smooth out that gap where it would give me like the extra 2, 3 treasure. But basically, like it was a pretty good way to like up my treasure count by like 2 and occasionally quite a bit more. And that seemed to be the amount that I needed to get Crystal good by the time that I needed it to be good. Um, and it was worth the
Okay, I see what you're
slot. So
saying. Yeah.
it's and there's a lot of like stuff like that where it's like just getting it over the edge because I couldn't justify buying a crystal once there was a like once I was in legendary shops a lot of the time sometimes you could, but like if you're at all behind, like it was really not an option. And even then, I might just still not have the treasures because a lot of the units that you're playing in that strategy aren't mages. You're actually you're a slot bonus strategy. You're not a mage strategy. Like you happen to have
Right.
rage. You'll snap rage mage always, unlike 3-1. But like you don't you don't care about Calypso, you don't care about like Mirror Mage, any of this stuff because you're really just like setting up for double doubles. And I think it's real. Like it's not it I don't know, at least my stats seem to suggest that it is. Um
Yeah, no, I saw your write up about that, and I think that's like a really interesting approach. But I mean, with a specific captain using like the slot buffet,
I I
strategy.
I think it
But I wonder
works.
like how it would work with like another mage captain. Say like I don't know who's it even like another playable
Well, I
mage
actually run
captain.
Crystal in Witches 3 as well. But that
Oh
one,
really?
yeah, I just think it's good. Like I think being able to like buff your, but it's the same thing, right? Where like because you're trying to use like multipliers as like your end game, and that's not just double double, it's just that like that is an incredibly powerful one. But like Boon Willow and Goodie Bag themselves are multipliers, right? Like as is
Right.
Daedalus, if as is Goldilocks, there's so many ways in the end game to multiply a slot buff that you need to have a robust number on it to start with, and there's very few ways to like catch up with that, but Crystal's Ball is one of them where it just doesn't take that many extra casts before it gives you a big enough buff that doubling it is very significant. And again, it's just a matter of like nudging something by a turn or two is so huge in this game, right? Like the games don't last that long, and a lot of the time, like when you're behind on board, you can no longer take the efficient option because you have to take the like, or I don't know, it changes how you can do your future shops, right? Like if you're too unstable on board.
Right.
And I
Yeah.
think that it helps with that stability a lot. Um, that's my experience, but it's an extremely niche thing. It's just something that like I like a lot and go to very often, and I don't really see anyone else doing very much. Um, I
Yeah. I don't think I've seen. I mean, so I know that short elf plays a lot more mages than I think any of like the other like top. I guess we should say like 20 at this point because there's so many good people. But like I don't know. He's always like on. I mean, even in situations where I don't think it's warranted, he's got an Iron Cast Dragon in play, and
I'm very unimpressed with that character in general, but yeah, it can do
yeah.
things. It can.
But yeah, other than you, I think he's the only one who really likes mages on board at the end game. And I think there's just a lot to be said about like the depth of this game. Like people complain constantly. I think about how like oh this game is Wormscale Tinker is like the end of the is the only comp that matters or whatever. But I think like there's so much depth to like actual strategies like your slot buff thing on pre or on sorceress Serena is
I actually
fascinating to
think
me. I
that like
love it.
to me it's like I actually play like a similar strat on like a couple different characters, or I played on a couple different characters, and at the level that I'm playing currently it just doesn't keep up with them. Like I was trying to like do the data or like run Daedalus and all this stuff in Beanstalk, and it's just not as good as just like using the shot buffs in a generic fashion.
Yeah.
um and I think Witches 3 you like kind of stumble upon a similar end game with your like if you don't manage to crush. But it's not consistent, and it's not worth making it consistent because that destabilizes your like mid game power so much if you're trying to like then once you hit epic invest in like some new kind of scaling options. It doesn't make sense to me. Um, but yeah, I kind of agree that like there's so much more in this game than like what the best thing is, and I think often the best thing is actually not that much better than it. And I think right now it happens to be at a bad place, but it's very close to not being like I think that there's still a lot of like cool things that you can do that um and in a way like Peachy Queen can enable those things, and that's part of what like works with it is that like I I think that like a lot of the time before I would find a captain select with like three, like captains that I just didn't want to play. Um, And now I feel like, well, I can at least do something powerful. And I kind of like that about it. Because it's not like when I have like exciting captains that I'm like, oh, well, why even bother? Like I'm still excited to play them. Um, so I don't mind having a little bit more power. I just wish it wasn't so concentrated on like one strategy.
Yeah, no, I think it definitely doesn't have to be. I think that, I mean, myself included, but it's a comfortable strategy, right? Like doing the treasures because you have some tempo if you're actually finding the treasure, and then you have really good end game prospects, and so you don't really feel helpless at any point. Whereas like if you do like a mage's thing and you're like casting a bunch of spells and you're getting to like turn 11 and you're like, man, I have no silvers in the shop and my spells do like +6/+6, like I'm dead.
You have to have
And
such a
it just feels
strong
hopeless.
sense of tempo, I think, in order to pull off that kind of thing, and I just have no sense of it right now. And by that I mean that like I think that like I think I have like in a couple older videos like me touting the virtues of Anbuddy, which is like sounds so comical right now because like it just doesn't make sense. But I thought it was like
Yeah.
I had a point to make, and that was like if you have if you correctly assess what's going to help you win the next two fights by like a single purchase, I think that gives you a lot of space because then those other like three shop picks you can miss a little bit on or take a little bit of greedy things on. But right
Hmm.
now, all those bets are off. Um,
Yeah.
and I think things like that used to be like if you had like a couple plunder penny hunts and like a nightshade, you could buy like a all for one or an all hands on deck or something and have
Uh,
a somewhat similar experience where like maybe you're not like super likely to win, but like you could win and you're not probably not going to lose the next couple fights, and those numbers just don't mean anything anymore. Like,
yeah. Certainly, they mean a lot less. Yeah. Yeah, last night on Yuckmouth's stream, he made a really interesting point, which is that so like I don't know. I guess that we're kind of like I don't want to like dive into too many topics at once, but like
oh, I don't care
the
if it's
idea
a
that you could
mess,
like
whatever.
look at your opponent and be like, okay, on turn 3, I expect against this captain, I can win, I can lose, and you could make a lot of decisions based on like how much you wanted to greed, like can I finish an Ahab or something like that, right? And like now, you just can't make that decision. Like any captain could be like any strength at this point.
Yeah, that's exactly how I
Um,
feel. And
and it's just a complete crapshoot. Like Ahab is worse than ever. Like I used to think like I could pick an Ahab and be like, with like a 50% success rate, know whether I was gonna like. I'd be like, okay, I've got a 50% chance to hunt with this Ahab. I can do it, and I was pretty good at it. And now it's just like no idea.
that's how I feel about a lot of things. Also, like, not that Cowardly Lion has ever been an exciting pick, but like that thing can't survive a single hit on turn like on turn three now a lot of the time, and that's a
Yeah,
problem if you're like it used to be like, oh, okay, well, I guess I can make this work. It's the turn where maybe it can do something, and now it's just hopeless, I feel.
yeah.
Unless again, unless you're the one who's bullying already. But then you can do anything. Uh,
You know, like one thing that too that I find like, kind of weird, like, is that like I said before, I don't really mind this for just like a small amount of time. This weird meta game, but it's also hard to like build a deck around because as part of this, like they've increased the number of commons, so like adding more commons to your deck is worse than ever because you just can't find silvers as reliably as you could before. Like Fates, I thought has been really a high performer for me, and now it's just really hard to ever find the silver Fates. So it's weird to like think you're like, okay, we have a fast meta game. Like, how do I approach it? And it's like, well, the truth is I can't add any early game cards because it just makes my deck worse. Like, yeah, I got Ace of Hearts, yeah, maybe Mazeria, but I don't really want to add any commons. So I just hope that I find the good shared pool stuff.
I had a question that there's a couple questions that I think I'm going to be like asking on repeat, and I think full heart damage is one that I'll touch on really quickly, but I think is actually like I think I've kind of come to a conclusion about that, and I had my own conclusion, and other people seem to like experienced players seem to echo it, so I'll ask quick, but it's not important. I want to dwell on it less, but more than that, I want to talk about how you feel about silvers in general and like the idea of deck thinning. Um, how do you think that my feeling is that I'm a little bit dubious that like with so few turns in most like games that just like putting a silver in the shop is very much value. But other people really seem to disagree with that. What's your take on it?
Wait, people disagree that putting a silver into the shop has value?
I disagree with that. So that's kind of
Oh,
the thing where I suspect I'm very wrong, but I don't understand why, I guess still. So like to me I'm worried it's not that it has no value. It's that I think it's not necessarily like it's a very poor um result of having like of half your turn if that's all you're getting out of it. Um
I see.
so and obviously like sometimes that's the only thing you can do, but like
Mm-hmm.
I guess it always seems like very bad to me.
Yeah, well, I'm not like there are people who are much more into the adding silvers than I like. I guess that like the biggest like silver fans are the ones who hate Midas, and I don't hate Midas. Like, but on in general, yeah, I think that like a spell, like a small spell on just a random character is so much worse than adding a silver.
To me, the
And of
difference is,
course,
do I
like,
think it's going to like help meaningfully make a difference in this upcoming fight? Like, and I think that that estimation is impossible to make right now. But when that estimation
mhm.
is possible to make, I don't like that choice. It doesn't. It's not convincing to me. Um, but I again, like, I think that like clearly people who have like found more success than me disagree, and that's means a lot to me as well. Um,
I mean, like in the first like 4 or 5 turns, well, I mean, obviously not in turn one and two, but like, yeah, a spell definitely can affect the fight. But like on turn 6 or 7,
no, yeah,
you
okay,
casting
yeah.
anything other than giant growth does nothing, right? Like none of those spells help you at all.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm talking about like casting like even an okay spell on turns 3 and 4, basically.
Okay.
That's
Yeah, no, that I think is absolutely fine. It's something actually I think I don't do enough. Um,
yeah,
uh,
on turn 6 or 7, like basically the crux is that it has to meaningfully affect the next fight. If
mhm.
it doesn't, then the silver is way better. That's a free shop. That's a bonus
Yeah.
shop in the future. Like it matters.
No, 3 and 4 I think is probably the best turn to play those like dorky spells
Hmm.
because yeah, I mean they affect the fight, and also like silver uncommons I think that like they're like the worst brand of silvers, right?
Can
Like
you explain that a little
they
bit?
get drowned. Yeah, okay. So like with commons, right, in turns 1 and 2, like you have a pretty small shop, right? So there was what, three of each copy of cards, and there's 15 cards, so you have 45. I guess now there's 17 cards, right? Because we added Peachy Queen and Hamstar.
Oh, we also
So
added
you've got
Gingerbread House, so we added three.
oh, three. Yeah, I forgot about that. Okay. So yeah, so we're up to 54 cards, right? So like you cast like say just um so say you find a breadcrumbs on turn one. Turn two, like you just casting a Lost in the Woods, like that removes 3 cards. It's like a meaningful chunk of your deck, right? Like the odds of you finding silvers goes up drastically. And so taking any silver like during 1 and 2, it's just pretty easy to find another silver. And at that stage of the game, like an extra
That's what
one
I'm
one is a
missing.
really meaningful thing, right?
That's what I'm missing is the fact that the silvers are also getting rid of the other two things that you were clearly not interested in buying, otherwise we
Right.
might have taken them over the silver. That makes so
Because
much
you take a
sense.
silver and then it increases the odds that you find more silvers.
Yes.
It's
Okay,
yeah.
that there you go.
But
Okay,
also
yeah.
turn one and turn two, you don't have the option to play a spell anyways, generally, right? Like your only option is like from fates or from breadcrumbs. So it's not really like a choice anyways. You're probably taking the silver anyway.
Yeah, I think the main thing to me is that the upside seemed very low because I was only considering the one card that you were like thinking of and not the other
Mhm.
cards in both the like in the subsequent turns where you're clearing um because the way that like the deck distribution works basically. Yeah, that
Right.
I was basically I didn't understand it. I knew all
Right.
the
But
parts, but I didn't connect them correctly.
Yeah, but then so like when you go to uncommon turns though, right? Like your deck more than doubles in size, right, on turn three,
Hmm.
because you've got four of each copy of all of those cards, and I presume maybe you have like some added uncommons in your deck list, and I guess I'm not sure how many shared pool uncommons there are, but I assume about the same as commons. And so like now your silver chance has gone down drastically, and so like I think like three and four are like the best time to play a spell probably to like win a fight because again five and six now you've gone down drastically again your silver like your uncommon characters are again like less than a third of the deck, well about a third of the deck at this point, and it's just you know you're not gonna find stuff reliably to help you in a fight. This is like really long term strategy at this point, and so I think silvers matter a lot more when you're like looking at rare and epic turns, just because the spells do almost nothing, and
Yeah.
those
So
treasures mean a lot, right?
I'm also gonna just really quickly explain how some of this works, because not everyone may know the way that like the deck works. Basically, is that
Okay.
and correct me if I'm wrong about any of this, but I believe that there are three copies of each common, each shared pool common, and each that you've added that you start and that's shuffled up and becomes your deck. You see three of them laid out in your shop, um, and then if you've taken one, the next one is silver. And then when you go to uncommon, you add all the uncommons, and you have four. For rares, you have five, six for epics, seven for legendaries. Um, so you have a much higher chance in the higher tiers of seeing the silvers again, but also your deck is larger. Um, so it's kind of necessary as well in order to keep the distribution working in a way that kind of makes sense. So that's kind of the way that the shop and deck work. Um, and after you've drawn the cards, I believe they just are removed from the deck, right? They won't be reshuffled at any point. I guess if they were, it would be so late in the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think when stuff runs out, like I'm not actually sure I've even experienced that personally.
But yeah, basically the point is that like removing when you, for example, see a shop with two bronze characters and a silver, and you take the silver character, you're basically like those two bronze characters are also like gone from your pool is the main thing, um, and
Right.
that's useful. um, so just and also the way that the numbers work, in case people weren't sure what you were talking about. So um, yeah, sorry, I'm just kind of fading, but like, what do you want to? Is there any like what have you been playing recently that like have you discovered anything new recently, or like found something that you were like, oh, I kind of want to see what this is about, like exploring it a little bit more? I know that like
Uh,
Apple Chips has been like messing around with Blorg, I think they're called.
yeah, Lord, we are
Yeah,
Blorg.
yeah, and I think that there's a lot of like weird captains that may have a lot of potential that like is difficult to explore, but is very much there. Um,
Um, I'm not sure that I've been playing any weird captains. Like, just the way the captain assignment has been, like, basically I just see the same three captains over and over.
Is that
I
just the
feel
luck
like.
of the draw because like there's only so many of them, or is there anything like that's going on there? Like I don't actually know how
I
that
think it's
works.
just like the weighting system for like slot three in the captain thing, right? And
Oh,
like
that makes
I'm not
sense. Yeah.
unlocking a lot of most of the new captains are pretty bad. So I'm not like unlocking. I mean, Frowny is like probably okay, but I just don't really want to like add that to the pool. But especially like Cup or something like
Which
I
one's
really
Cup
don't
Cup?
want to buy that. Cup is like strictly worse faker. It doubles spells on. It doesn't double the spell. It doubles the buff from spells on candy characters.
Oh
So
yeah,
it's
that
like
seems pretty questionable, I think. Like not that
yeah.
I mean double is always scary, but that one seems pretty loose because like
But faker like basically that's the same thing as like if you double the sweetness, like your candy spells are doubled value, right? So it's
but you're
just
also yeah,
way
but you're also getting all the like extra bonuses from the characters themselves, right? Because they all have
it
abilities.
doesn't copy the spell though, right? It's just like so if you cast like
Oh, I'm saying on
plus four
Faker.
plus four. Oh right.
where just having more sweetness is often more beneficial,
Yeah,
like
yeah. So it's a really just way worse version of Faker. So
yeah,
I
I
don't
think
want to
that one's a
unlock
little
that.
bit
And
more clear than the like difference between Mira and I think Waddles, whatever it's called. I should probably
hmm
look this up just really quick. Just go to the patch notes. Dawdles, Dotty Dawdles. Oh, so yeah. This one makes your golden. Oh wait, Cup Cup makes your golden candy characters silver and golden candy characters super sweet.
oh,
Um,
what am I thinking of then?
you're kind of combining Dotty Dawdles, which doubles the buffs that your spells give to mages. Um, and I think that that one is like going to draw like negative comparisons to Mira quite often, but I think has maybe some interesting other applications. Whereas I think Cup Cup and Faker, it's a lot. I don't know. Faker does seem a lot more consistent. It's hard. I kind of feel this way with like Animal struggles in a lot of ways, but like way too often when I was playing that captain, you just like it's hard to find the silver and golden things at the right time for them to matter, you know?
hmm
Do you have a favorite captain? Or like a couple that like you just really love to play that like if you see them you're like going to click them unless like you really need like really want to win and there's maybe not the strongest.
Yeah, I mean, I generally like the stronger captains. I mean, like I think
Yeah.
probably Blorg is my favorite non. Maybe he's strong, but I haven't really figured out how to play it yet. Like consistently, anyways. But like when I was maybe like 6 months into the game, I was really into Fae, and I played a lot of Wink for a really long time. And like at that point, drafty window was still a common,
Oh
and
wow, I had no idea that was a thing. That's already such a
yeah,
dangerous thing to get early.
it
Like
it was weird on Trash Panda because you could just go super hard on Fae really quickly. But like, so at that time, I asked for basically double dealer. I mean, I didn't have the rider of once per turn, but I'm like, all right, I love Fae. Can we get a drafty window captain? It's a common treasure. Like we've got or we got rare treasure captains. Like why not drafty window? And I don't know. At the time, we all agreed like, oh yeah, that'd be way too broken. And then they just made it anyways. So I was super happy to see double dealer.
do you think Double Deal
Um,
is broken? I don't think it is. I think it's
I don't
good.
think it's broken. I mean, especially not now. Like, well, I mean, now like it can take advantage of PG Queen better than most captains. But like, I mean, the whole game is like there's so much variance right now that I don't think anything is broken. Like, it's just kind of like a chaos world, right? So
Yeah.
like anything
Unfortunately.
can. I mean, Dorothy, I think was really good. Um, until PG Queen, like,
I
and
was
then
actually
now.
thinking about something with this. Sorry, you should
Oh,
finish your
go
thought.
ahead.
Oh, okay. So I was thinking about like for the tournament that like a system that's coming up, which I'm very excited for. It looks like a lot of fun. But obviously this is not how Captain Select works in any way whatsoever. But I was imagining like if I could draft like six cap or five captains, right? Because you have to get like fifth, fourth, third, second, first, and
Right.
like you can only obviously you can only pick them once each. Like what would the dream like five captains um be that I could get? Because I'm not and this is a stipulation, I guess, that like you can only because otherwise you might just pick the same one three times or four times or even five. But I don't think so. I actually think that like
Yeah, I don't think so. Like
um
say Mira, right? Like Mira is you're not gonna get worse than third with Mira.
yeah,
So like, but
Beanstalk is
also
my
it's not
fifth
like the
place
most.
one. Like
Yeah,
where
it's not
it's
the
just
most
so
winning
hard to
captain
get
though.
sixth. Like how it seems like you really have to do something wrong. Like or everyone else has to be doing something really right on top of you doing something wrong, I think, to get
Yeah.
six with Beanstalk. And like a lot of the times, you can six with anybody, but um, yeah. And then I was thinking that like Dorothy might be my number one, just as far as like consistency and like access to high-end power. I think just rock solid captain. Like
Yeah, that's
if
what I
I
was gonna
really
say
had to
too.
get first place, I might go for that. Even though I don't think it's my highest win rate, so like maybe like statistically it doesn't work. It feels right to me.
Yeah, I think it would take Dorothy for the win like for round or to win, but
Yeah,
then
me
like
too.
I don't want it for fifth place, like because
Yeah, it's
sometimes you just
unnecessary. Yeah, and sometimes
don't
you
finish
do.
the Well,
Yeah,
also like you can just get trashed by like not finding
that's
any
what I mean. Yeah,
questers, and then you're like, oh my god, this is gonna be nasty.
yeah. I
And because
feel
you've taken questers and not Fae, and now you're just behind, and yeah.
um. But yeah, do you have other ones where you're just like, oh, okay, like I know that if I need to get like second or third place, like yeah, like I would choose to do this one. I think it's just like a
Yeah,
fun little
definitely
game.
collector would be high for me.
Oh,
Like yeah, collectors like I think it's actually maybe even more consistent than Dorothy right now, just because you just need the tempo, and it also you can get the treasure from anywhere uh to kind of like keep up. So I would probably like take collector for second place, maybe. I want double dealer and Mira for like third and fourth.
fifth can be
Uh,
almost anything. Like, but yeah, I think the first,
yeah.
the fourth through first, it's kind of interesting to like think to see how different players would approach that.
Yeah,
Um,
I'd like Faker. I think would be also like a consistent captain for not necessarily getting first, but for doing getting a high performance, maybe second.
yeah,
I
I
don't know
think
who my most winning captain is though.
I know I used to track my stats like a lot more carefully, and I've stopped doing that. And I think I stopped doing it because I thought that I had like a sense of what was going on, and that I was just like it was just eating up a lot of time that I could spend elsewhere. But I should probably start doing it again because I think a lot of my like sense of like I kind of assumed that like I was just playing Serena because like I liked her and she's fun. But then when I was like actually like this is like I just like won five back to back. Like not that I got her five times in a row, but like the last five games that I've played with Serena, I've like convincingly gotten first, and I'm like this doesn't feel like a fluke. Like I feel like it's really like something's happening here. um, and I kind of want to see what's like actually going on. If it was just like me riding high for a little bit, or if like over the cumulative effect, like it really is working. Um, but
Yeah, that's one thing that's really interesting about this game is like how like you play a lot of games, but then you have like with any specific thing, your actual sample size is minuscule,
tiny,
right?
yeah.
Like okay, I had 5 games over the course of like I don't know 100 games. I had 5 games with this captain, and in this time, I maybe you got like lucky 3 times, maybe you got a bad lobby in one time, and it's really hard to say like what actually was the key to your success. Like I was playing Huntsman on like every deck for a while, and I just Huntsman was popping off constantly for me, and like I was finishing it, and like man, now like I can barely finish Huntsman on J anymore. Like it just I don't know. I think I just had a really good run with it, and then now it's just like as I'm getting enough games, it's just kind of flattening out, and it's like yeah, Huntsman is pretty hard, and then you need to still
Well,
be able to hunt and find something to like do with the ability,
it's a lot of
and
pieces. I will say one thing about the Peachy Queen meta that like I'm happy about is I don't miss facing the Huntsman Herc boards where you just like I feel like they kind of invalid like would invalidate your entire run up until then much more to me than the worm scale ones because I
mm,
felt like the worm scale ones you'd be like okay this is at plus 12 that's real but I could still maybe sneak in there. You would face sometimes these Huntsman Herc boards and you're like oh okay I have 3 hearts bye like I'm done can't
yeah.
win.
Yeah, Huntsman Herc is interesting because, like, I mean, even like Mixo Macho doesn't really work since you're like
That's the
mixoing your back row guy, and then you can't stop the front row hunt.
you can't even scam them out with poison apple, you know, like it's
Yeah.
so little that you can do once it gets going. And I never thought it was like un like oppressive or anything like that because it's actually like I've played it enough to know that it's like difficult to assemble and you know like your actual win rate's not going to be particularly high, but like I really didn't enjoy playing against it. So I'm kind of it's kind of nice having a little bit of a reprieve from that. But that was a
You
pet
know what?
peeve more than like a actual like balance issue, whereas I think Peachy Queen has some legitimate balance issues.
There's like a lot of I guess that you'd say like in vogue end games that like kind of go in and out. Like I haven't seen people playing Scam in a really long time. Even though I bet Scam is probably better than ever.
Scam
And
I've actually been like doing pretty well with, but I think it's hard to like it's hard to I don't have enough experience to like really talk about it, I guess, but I've been finding it to be really good. Like I think the trouble is that like I started playing it because of Witches 3 and it's got like it's really hard to make Anubis work with that captain because your stats get like distributed weirdly. Um, but like in a more standard strategy, I think Anubis like stuff is actually really good right now.
Yeah, and I think it's really solid because, like, I mean, there's no summons really, right? Which was like the biggest thing. Like summons and snapping Hydra are like the biggest threats. I guess in Fox a little bit, but even Fox is kind of falling off because there's so many captains who aren't collecting treasures right now.
Yeah, I've actually been finding that like Fox is really frustrating because so often at the time that it can hunt, where it used to be able to accumulate some treasures and grow from there, like get you some value, and then you could like keep it on your board even though it was weak because your treasures were doing stuff. Like that just doesn't
Hmm.
happen anymore. You like just hunt a few times and steal nothing, and then you
Right.
have
Yeah.
this like 5/6 on your board. Um, are
I
there
mean, I
characters?
kind of like that about this. So they say the first time where like no treasures is like an actual like reasonable strategy, not just to like foil the fox, but to
I don't think it's the
like
first
you're
time
just
that
busy
that's the
doing something
case, but I,
else.
I like that it's more common. Yeah, I also really like that it's not a huge part of the meta anymore because I've always found that like I like sneak being in the game. Backline access absolutely should be a thing, but I didn't like that it was attached to something that like people were just putting in all the
It's so
time anyway.
powerful. Yeah. Well, I mean, they did it with like Rat King when that card came out, and people were like, "Oh, this is cool," and then it was like 3 weeks later, it's like, that's too bad. This card doesn't do anything.
Yeah,
And
I
so we
mean,
still just had no sneak characters other than Ninja Turtle, basically.
yeah, so yeah, I wish Rat King was a real thing because Rat King Press is the name of my like printing company, and it would be fun to like have the namesake be playable, but it absolutely
Yeah.
is not. Um, how do you feel about Snapping Hadra right now? I still think that card's excellent.
Yeah. I'm definitely back on it. I'm trying to like play more Fairy Queen a little bit because I've been going to Wink and stuff, but I still really want Snapping Hydra just because everyone is just. I mean, there's no end games anymore, right? Like, well, for the most part, people don't have an end game, because the games just end so quickly, right? Like, I'll go into a lobby. Like, I did a bunch of like my gold climb yesterday, and like after, I don't know, say like 10 wins or whatever, I'm back with my normal lobbies, right? So there is like MMR affecting it, right? I'm seeing, Pope Shine and the same crowd, right?
Yeah, no,
And
I'm actually like enjoying my days in gold right now because I'm like doing wacky stuff again and having fun with it. But like I'm also looking forward to like seeing the old names again. There's something comforting about it.
yeah. But the point I was trying to make though is that like so many of my games like it'll just be like brutal in turn 6, then you get to like turn 7 and it's like okay, I'm kind of like stabilizing, and then turn 9 like everyone's at 100, you're like wow, everyone's really strong for turn 9, and then everyone's game is done, like they either won or lost already by this point of the game, and
Hmm.
so you get to turn 11, it's like huh, all right, well, this is like the game has been over for a bit, and you just easily clean up because all you have to do is survive. And I mean, it's not easy to survive, but like end game comps really don't matter. So but like in that situation, snapping Hydra is absolutely amazing, right? Like if you can have any stats on it, it just
That's the only thing that I've been struggling with is that like if you because the tempo is so fast right now, if you when you buy it, it's like kind of just got its base stats more or less. Like it takes a little bit too long to scale up, but
mm,
it's just such a powerful effect to have access to. Just like both hitting the backline and getting the 2 for 1.
yeah, no, I like, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of shot buffs. I think if you're doing like Rose Thorn, like you can easily get 6 or 7 points on there.
Oh,
If you
it
got
doesn't take
Mazaria, that's
much.
like
Yeah,
another 4.
and again, anything that says double doesn't take a lot to get started, but it needs something, like
Yeah,
yeah, like it's no trouble. Basically by the time like I guess that like once you if you're surviving to like turn 7, 8, you likely have had to accumulate some number of shot buffs, but it's kind of the same problem that I was addressing earlier where I feel it's very easy if you have been like just kind of doing your best and scraping by. It's hard
right.
to make a
Yeah,
comeback right now.
no, that's definitely true. Yeah, like even like I've been playing Wink, but like and Wink hunts can be like pretty useful, but there's not like a lot of like actual like stuff to do with Fae in the mid game. Like it's all like in the first 5 turns. I feel like where it's relevant, especially without like slash or dash, which maybe you
I've
don't
never even
know.
heard of them. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like they're Fae that farewell +4 plus O+4 to your shop.
Oh my god.
But there were rares, and
Yeah.
so you just don't have like a lot of mid game economy unless you're doing Sugar Plum. But Sugar Plum is, you know, like you're not progressing anything else if you're like drafting random Fae to get shot buffs, right? So it's really like not so it's something that builds you towards the end game. It's just giving you like early tempo, and that I think that's just kind of like okay right now. Uh, because you don't really need much, if you just like get to turn 9 and then you slam, you want like Guinevere or I guess Fairy Queen, something that has stats right away, and then that's just kind of the whole game.
Hmm. I
Um,
yeah. I like Fairy Queen a lot right now, actually. I think it's a fun, I think it's cool that it scales off of like the Fey buffs. It's a little bit weird that it does that because it's, part of a cycle and nothing else does, but I think it's pretty fun um, to to be able to like jam that. What I haven't been enjoying actually is that I also started just like putting Wink in almost all of my decks after like when everyone realized how strong Peachy Queen was, and
mhm.
I've been struggling a lot with like I feel like it's okay when it's doing its hunting, but like the second that I buy a Wink and it misses its hunt, like its second hunt, I feel like I've lost that
Yeah,
lobby. And I don't know that I love putting a card in my deck that like seems to be putting me in that situation a lot. And sometimes there's really nothing you can do about that, like
right. No, that's exactly the reason I took Wink out of all my decks in the first place.
yeah, I mean this was
Like,
always the
yeah,
case, but like I think it's yeah, it's just kind of back in business.
yeah. I don't know. I just like I'm sure Peachy Queen is going to change mid month, so
Yeah, I'm so
I'm
curious
just
because
gonna
I
enjoy
I
it a little
wonder.
bit.
Yeah, like I don't think it would be that. I think that stuff like that, like I said, could work at common. Just the numbers are wrong, and the like fact that there's not enough other stuff is quite right. I kind of like also feel the fact that it's like a hero is weird, like to
Yeah.
me, because it seems to like be an unnecessary thing that smooths out all this other stuff. Um, and it could like even a little thing like that could matter. Who knows? Um,
Yeah, well, so there used to be like the hero thing, like they were gonna just add a hero if they're gonna add a common, because there used to be another shared pool common, like it was a dragon hero, and they took that out, and everyone was pretty upset because it completely trashed Daughter of Athena.
mm.
Like there just weren't enough heroes anymore to make Daughter of Athena playable, and so
I
people
noticed that
complained for a
here.
while. And then
Sorry, I keep cutting you off. My bad.
oh no, it's okay. I mean, that's basically the gist of my thing, though. Is like they needed to add a hero, and I
Mm,
think they put it on the wrong character. It should have been on Hamstar, who's basically pointless. At
I
least if it was a
know I
hero,
want
like
Hamstar to be something, and it really isn't.
yeah.
Um, but I think I first started seeing when I was watching some of your videos, you would seem to prioritize Glory Seeker quite a bit. You
Hmm.
seem to care that like you weren't able to fit it in your decks, and I started running it like just to like try it out, right? And I've been very impressed by it. I sometimes I'm actually still running it in quite a few decks right now, even though I think that like glutting the common pool is a thing. It just seems like hitting Peachy Queen matters, hitting these other things matters. Um, but how do you feel about it right now?
Um. So like right now, I have cut it from almost everything.
Hmm.
Because like I valued its ability to like before there was 3 other heroes, right? So when you pick it up, it your shop was guaranteed, and so that just made like silver basically automatic. No, so PG Queen is like an addition, and it makes that not true anymore. But it's also one card that you would really like to find, right?
Yeah, that's
But
why I've
also
been
like
keeping it, but I'm not sure about
yeah,
it.
so I'm just not sure either. Like it's silvers are like less reliable now, um, with the increased pool and adding more commons further dilutes that. But I want to find the PG Queen, but if you've already like taken a non-Fey, then you've taken the PG Queen. Like the efficacy of that plan is already kind of going down a bit. So I don't know. And like I mean, it also finds Ace of Hearts, which is nice. Uh, so I mean, it's still absolutely fine. I think it's just I don't know. I guess I really don't know what I want to be doing at the early stages, other than just yeah, finding Peachy Queen organically. I guess you know, I probably should put it back in, but it's
Oh,
just
I
you
don't
need
know.
so many reps with the game to have any idea what actually works over a big, you know, like on average that it's just kind of like about feeling at this point.
So right now, are you what what kind of distribution are you looking at as far as like each tier in your deck list? If you're trying to avoid adding too many early game cards, you say that you like really don't want to add commons, which makes a lot of sense, and you're saying that like you're trying to like minimize the number of uncommons in your shops. Um, is there any concern about glutting the other tiers, or is that just not real?
I mean a little bit, right? But like not too much. Like once you get like even by rare, like the cards that you add to the deck affect like the total number of cards so little that it doesn't matter that much.
Hmm. Okay.
Um like I mean I want plenty of rares because I'm definitely doing Butcher everywhere. Like Butcher is like the thing to do mid game, I think. Um but then like legendaries, like I mean there's a lot of good legendary cards you could play. Like cards that both are good and some are fun. Like I really like Oracle of Fortunes,
I
even
think
though
that's like, yeah, a card that I think of as like very associated with you, because I think that like eh, that card makes a lot of sense in like early on. It's when nobody kind of knows what they're doing, and you have like I don't know, when I first started playing the game, you had these like really grindy end games because like people just didn't know how to close anything out,
mhm,
and it was fantastic. And it's cool to see that like you can still get use out of it at a much higher like tempo and a much higher like level of competitiveness,
mhm.
even though like I had kind of been like, oh well, I guess you just can't play this anymore. So that's really been fun to see.
Yeah, no, I mean like there's and but there's so many good cards that you could play, but also like I just feel like a lot of the games I don't even
Get there, yeah.
get there. Yeah, like you have 5 or 6 legendaries that you could easily justify, and then
And again, I don't
a
mind
lot of
that
games end on turn 10.
as long as
So
the games are fun between turns 1 and 10. And I think that's like the crucial thing. um,
no.
that is not clear to me right now. Um, so I think I'm gonna have to sign off. I've got to head off and take care of some things, but it was super fun having you on. Um, Yeah, I was gonna ask. So one thing that I would really like to do, and it might be difficult with scheduling, we'll have to see. But after I've like gotten a couple more of these under my belt, I've got some more lined up. I think it would be really fun to try and invite either 3 or 4 people, and to try and co-pilot a game together, or a couple, like maybe like over the course of like a couple hours, like maybe like do a couple games so that we've got like a bunch of us like yelling at the screen from like very different perspectives. Does that sound like something you'd like to take part in?
Yeah, that'd be good. I think it would be most fun if we had like definitely like very different play styles. Like I guess I'm like raised by the yuck school of thought. So like if we're gonna do that, like say somebody like Fire Oak, right, would probably be just like a mirror of like what I'm gonna say. But there's like a bunch of the other people, like Apple Chips. I think probably plays the game considerably different than I do. No, not a huge amount, but
I mean, the
I
thing
bet
is, like,
there's
to
a lot
play
of key choices
successfully,
that
you
are
kind of
different.
have to, there is going to be some amount of, like, similarity. But yeah, I think that, like, you, me, Apple Chips all play quite, like, very differently. We have different instincts for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
That sounds fun. I don't know how well it's gonna work, or everybody's just like, yeah, these are all like reasonable choices, whatever.
oh, I mean, if that's the case and we're just having a good
Yeah,
time, then maybe we don't repeat it, but it could be nice. But
yeah.
yeah, I just
No,
wanted to
I'm
touch.
I'm down though.
All right, sounds great. Okay, well, I'm gonna sign off for now, but yeah, everyone, absolutely, please check out Good Digestion's YouTube channel. He always like posts stuff in the Discord and the community content tab as well. It's just rock solid content, and it's super like unlike me, GD is capable of like making a point in 30 seconds. That is a 30-second point instead of taking 5 minutes for it, so you'll get a lot more efficiency out of it too. Um, Yeah,
Uh,
thank you so much. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we sign off?
No, I mean, I guess maybe I can just plug your channel as well. I really enjoy your YouTube content.
Oh, thank
It's
you.
yeah.
All
No,
right, yeah.
like I watch it a lot. And my wife comes in, and I guess like when we're talking together, maybe our voices don't sound similarly, but my wife can't tell the difference between our YouTube videos. So like, it's like, are you watching yourself? Or are you watching Jampod?
Oh, that's really
um,
nice to hear. Yeah, I'll
but
definitely
yeah.
be posting more soon. I've got some like I said that I just recorded today. Um, oh, actually, I want to ask one more question. Do you filter yours at all? Like, or do you just like record and just put it up? Like,
Oh yeah, I don't edit anything.
I mean, oh, I don't edit anything either, but like, definitely there are sometimes when I'm like, oh, I just don't think that was like an interesting run, and I don't post it. Um,
Oh, so like I like to put up losing games
that's
a
the
bit,
thing. Yeah,
but
I don't want to be like giving a fake impression that like I always win, but like, and there can be interesting losses, and I'll post those. But I think it's easier to have an uninteresting loss.
yeah, I like I put up games where I lost on turn 4 before, and I think people see the video length and they're just like, I'm not gonna watch this.
Yeah, I
Um,
should do the same then, because I think it's actually really good to know that like people are losing doing things that also
yeah,
will more often than not win. Because I think otherwise it can seem like, oh, I'm trying to do something and it doesn't work, like this is a scam. And it's like, well, no, it just is better than not doing it.
right. But I'm definitely happy to like post like a turn 7 fifth place or something. Like I really don't like to I just want to put up everything I can. But if the video is like 3 minutes long and it's just like, well, I just got crushed, nothing interesting happened. Yeah, people just aren't watching that.
Yeah, that
Actually,
makes
like
sense.
I think maybe my video today or yesterday, I got a turn 8 win with Jay or something
Hmm.
like that. And like the video is like 6 minutes long, and I'm just thinking like, okay, this is the actual earliest I've ever won in my entire life, and I think people are gonna see the video length and not watch it because they assume I got
Wait, is
crushed.
this you just don't win on turn 8 usually? Like it's a
I've never won on turn 8 before. This was my first time ever in like a year and a half. Yeah.
oh, that's so crazy. Like again, like I think that like you are a much better scaling player than I am, but like I think I've won on like turn 6.
What
Yeah, I've
is that
won.
even possible?
Hi, Champot here with a caveat and a question. I looked through my screenshots and I can't find anything with a turn 6 win. I just have a spreadsheet that says like 6 and a bunch of exclamation points, but I'm not convinced by that. Um, this would have been in the early days of the Romeo patch, just as I was starting to get better at the game, but I wasn't really involved in the community yet. So if anyone knows a way that I could check this in like the logs or somehow, I'd really like to know. But until then, I'm going to assume that I've won on turn 7 and somehow exaggerated in my memory because like basically winning on turn 6 is very different from like actually winning on turn 6. But a turn 6 win is possible. It requires specific conditions. You need either a Hades or a Midas in the lobby so that a player falls to 2 hearts on turn 1. I think this might be possible with Silver Fates into another character as well, but I'm not sure about that. And then afterwards, every fight needs to result in full heart damage. On turn 6, there are going to be 3 players left, and you face both remaining boards. If you full heart both, you win. Easy, right? Anyway, back to the show. Yeah,
Wow, that's
I
amazing.
full hearted every single fight after turn 2, like multiple times. Which 3 does that much better than other captains, I will admit. But
Dang.
turn 8 and 9 wins are like not that uncommon, I find. So that's interesting to
Was
hear.
this like when you were like still like pretty early MMR? Because like so I
Oh, I haven't done a
during
turn
pre
6 win in a long time, but
you should post that on like Discord. I would love to see how that. I mean, so I did like a Smurf account during pre Candular when I was just like, wow, I hate this game, and I got my first. I had never gotten a turn 8 win, and I got a turn 7 win against I mean it was like people in silver, right? Like just way below my MMR, and it's like okay, I kind of ruined this like bucket list goal for me because I kind of cheated to get here, and I didn't even think that was possible. But then yeah, I got this one, and it's like, okay, you can't really do better than 8. But I've never even heard like 6 is amazing to me.
I
Maybe the
I
yeah,
think that
I
you
don't know.
can't do it now because you just can't like consistently full heart every fight. Like it's just not gonna happen, like you're gonna fight other Peachy Queen boards that are like because that's the way that you would spike now. And
So I would think it's actually more possible than ever because like you have like because you need like somebody else who's also crushing the lobby, right?
that's the other key, right? Like you need multiple bullies who are actually like really doing the and it's mostly about lobby strength. Like you're like the like quirks of the lobby, you do have to play a certain way and a certain like level of competence, but I think it's mostly just like a combination of play style and enough, you know, pulls at the slot machine.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's it's really interesting to hear because you've been playing for so long, and it's cool to see like, oh, like again, like that there's so many different ways to play this game, and that it's not just about assembling whatever, like people happen to be complaining about at any given moment.
Yeah. Well, I think yeah. I mean, because like I am definitely the kind of player who like as soon as I have any latitude to like make a non uh like surviving like a choice to survive, like I'm gonna like put something in in the fire to like create an end game. So I'm definitely not using tempo to like leverage
I
stuff as
remember
much.
there
But
was a game of yours that I was watching where you got a fairy pancakes, and I was like, oh, we've just won. And then
mhm.
you spent like the next like 7 turns winning, and I was like just baffled. But you still won, like,
Yeah.
and it was, and the thing is, like, I think that like you took a line that if I had taken, I would have absolutely lost with, and I think that like there is a chance that like you could have taken the tempo line and gotten outscale, or like that someone had spiked, like could have spiked and matched you, and there was a risk of that you just not were you seem to not be interested in meeting. But it was wild to me that wasn't the like instant thought. um
Yeah.
it was anyway. I
It's
love that.
definitely
It's
like
cool.
but like learning that kind of strategy like is something that like PG Queen is helping with, right? Like I mean, I guess it makes sense to me that like I finally get my turn 8 win because PG Queen is like you got to just crush everybody now to dust. And like, Faker is also like teaching me that strategy where you just like I have like one legendary in my deck list, like I'm going to kill these people on turn 7 and 8.
Yeah, I
Um
mean, I've gotten it with my fastest wins with Lil Genie, and
Little genie.
Lil Genie sometimes you get that early breadcrumb. Like
No,
again,
it
it
can be
doesn't
good.
matter.
It can be good.
Yeah, like I think that it's not, the numbers don't really work right now, but like it's really fun when it works. Um,
Yeah.
and then you just
I
like
remember bringing
Mysterio
my
change
brother
your
into
like
the game.
giant like flying monkey into anything else that does something. Like it's
Little
cool.
genie into Mysterio. Yeah, I guess that makes sense for that captain. I mean, you got to keep stuff on board for a while,
And
huh?
you have
To
no
like to get
silvers
these
because you
stupid
cast all
buffs.
your spells. Like
Wow.
again, don't try this at home now.
I don't know.
All
I
right.
kind of want to try it.
I'm doing a terrible job of signing off this show. Thank you
Okay. Yeah.
so much for joining me, Good Digestion, and I'm going
Yeah.
to say
Thanks,
good night.
Tom. Yeah. Have
Talk to you soon,
a
I
good
hope.
night.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Two-Headed Wizard is hosted by me, Tom H. It is unaffiliated with Million Dreams. Our intro music is Through the Crystal by Jeremy Blake, and our outro music is King Porter Stomp by Joel Cummins. Our artwork is by me. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, you can search for Jampot in the Once Upon a Galaxy Discord and shoot me a DM. Thanks for listening.